You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Today I'm sharing an episode of my other podcast, Fun Facts Daily. I know a lot of you are like me and just enjoy learning new things. Fun Facts Daily focuses on a different topic every weekday, and this episode is perfect for my art lovers as it focuses on clay and ceramics. If you enjoy it and want to learn a little bit more about, well, just about everything, follow Fun Facts Daily wherever you get your podcasts. Today, we'll be learning all about clay and ceramics, a technology that has shaped human civilization for tens of thousands of years. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. Anyone who has ever taken a pottery class has probably heard the dire warning to wedge their clay perfectly to get rid of all the air bubbles. The reason given is that if even one tiny air bubble is trapped inside your pot, it'll expand in the heat of the kiln and cause your masterpiece to explode. What do you think? Is this a solid fact or a bit of a fallacy? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is ceramic. C-E-R-A-M-I-C. It's a word we hear all the time for everything from coffee mugs to floor tiles, but what does it really mean? Ceramic is a hard but brittle, heat-resistant, and corrosion-resistant material made by taking non-metallic mineral like clay and shaping it and then firing it at a high temperature. Not all clays are fired at the same heat. Different types require different temperatures to mature. For example, common earthenware clays might be fired from around 1800 to 2100 degrees Fahrenheit or 980 to 1150 degrees Celsius, while dense stoneware and delicate porcelain require higher temperatures, sometimes exceeding 2300 degrees Fahrenheit or 1260 degrees Celsius. During this intense heating, an amazing transformation happens. First, all physical and chemical water is driven out. Then, the clay particles themselves begin to melt and fuse together in a process called vitrification. This process locks the particles into a new, rigid, glass-like structure that's essentially a type of man-made rock, making the final piece permanently hard and strong. The word ceramic comes to us from the Greek word keramos, which means potter's clay or simply a clay pot. Ancient Greek potters were masters of their craft, and their term gave us the name for this whole class of materials. Digging even deeper, linguists believe keramos is related to the ancient Proto-Indo-European root word ker, K-E-R, which means to heat or to burn. So, baked right into the word ceramic is the essential instruction for how to make it. Apply heat. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about clay and ceramics. Number 1. In Japan, broken pottery is often repaired with gold to make it even more beautiful than it was before. There's a centuries-old Japanese art form called kintsugi, which means to join with gold. When a cherished piece of ceramic pottery breaks, artisans don't try to hide the cracks. Instead, they highlight them. They meticulously piece the object back together using a special lacquer made with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The result is that the lines of the breakage become a beautiful part of the object's design, glowing with precious metal. Kintsugi is tied to the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, which embraces imperfection and finds beauty in the natural cycle of growth and decay. The art form teaches that an object's history, including its damage, is something to be celebrated, not hidden. It serves as a powerful metaphor for life, suggesting that our own scars and healing experiences can make us stronger, more resilient, and more beautiful than we were before. Number 2. Special ceramic tiles protect spacecrafts from burning up when they re enter Earth's atmosphere. When a spacecraft like the Space Shuttle re enters the atmosphere, it travels at over 17,000 miles per hour, and the friction with the air can generate temperatures of up to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1,650 degrees Celsius. To survive this intense heat, the Space Shuttle was covered with over 24,000 special ceramic tiles. These tiles were made mostly with pure silica sand, the same raw material that is used to make glass, which was processed into a very lightweight and porous ceramic. These tiles are such incredible insulators that you can heat one side until it is glowing red hot, while the other side remains cool enough to touch with your bare hands. Because they're mostly empty space, about 90% air, heat has a very difficult time traveling through them. This property, known as low thermal conductivity, allowed the tiles to radiate heat away from the spacecraft, keeping the astronauts and the vehicle's aluminum frame safe and sound. Number 3. The oldest known ceramic artifacts are actually works of art, artistic figurines rather than functional objects. The oldest known ceramic piece was a figurine found in what is now the Czech Republic. The Venus of Dolní Věstonice is a small ceramic figurine dating back to the Stone Age, around 29,000 BCE. In contrast, the oldest known ceramic pots, vessels likely used for storage or cooking, were found in Xianrendong Cave in China and dated back to about 20,000 BCE. This means that humans created clay-fired art and symbols about 10,000 years before they began using it to make everyday containers. It's a powerful reminder that the human drive to create, to express ideas, and to make art is as ancient and fundamental as our need for tools. Number 4. The world's very first books and libraries weren't made on paper, but baked into clay. Long before paper or papyrus, the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, like the Sumerians and Babylonians, pioneered the first widespread form of writing. Around 5,000 years ago, they developed a system called cuneiform, which involved pressing wedge-shaped marks into soft, wet clay tablets using a reed stylus. These tablets recorded everything from legal codes and business transactions to epic poems and astronomical observations. Once inscribed, these clay tablets were either baked in a kiln or left to dry in the sun, making them incredibly durable. Unlike materials that can rot or burn away, these ceramic records have survived for millennia, giving us a direct window into the ancient world. Archaeologists have uncovered entire clay libraries with tens of thousands of tablets neatly organized on shelves. In fact, one of the world's oldest known works of literature, the Epic of Gilgamesh, was preserved for us on these sturdy clay pages. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: your smartphone is filled with tiny, high-tech ceramic components. While many people think ceramics is limited to just pottery, they're essential for our most advanced technology. Inside your smartphone, there are hundreds of microscopic components called multi-layer ceramic capacitors, or MLCCs. These tiny powerhouses are crucial for storing energy and managing the flow of electricity in your phone's processor and other electronics. They're made by layering incredibly thin sheets of specialized ceramic and metal materials. But it doesn't stop there. The super strong scratch-resistant screen on your phone, like Gorilla Glass, is a type of glass ceramic. It's made by a special process that gives it a much higher strength than normal glass. This strength comes from a chemical process called ion exchange. Basically, the glass is submerged in a hot bath of molten potassium salt, typically potassium nitrate, heated to approximately 750 degrees Fahrenheit or 400 degrees Celsius. At this high temperature, the smaller sodium ions migrate out of the glass and larger potassium ions from the salt bath take their place. As the glass cools, these larger potassium ions are packed tightly into the spaces left by the smaller sodium ions. This stuffing of larger ions creates a state of high compressive stress on the surface of the glass. And there are still more ceramic components. Even the internal insulators that prevent circuits from shorting out are made of advanced ceramics. Now for some news you can use. If you want to water your garden or even your indoor potted plants more efficiently, you can use a brilliant irrigation method that's been around for thousands of years. An olla, spelled O-L-L-A. An olla is simply an unglazed terracotta pot that you bury in the soil with only its neck sticking out. Now, you'll want to plug the hole in the bottom of the pot, but then you can fill it with water and it becomes a personal reservoir for all the plants surrounding it. It's an incredibly simple and effective way to ensure your plants get the perfect amount of water right where they need it most. This ancient technique works because unglazed terracotta is porous, meaning it's filled with tiny holes that water can slowly seep through. The water isn't just pushed out by gravity pushing it down, it's pulled out by the surrounding dry soil and the plant roots themselves. This happens through capillary action, which works like a team effort between three forces. First is adhesion, which makes water molecules stick to other surfaces, like the tiny pores in the clay in the soil. At the same time, cohesion makes water molecules stick to each other. So, as adhesion pulls the water at the front into the soil, cohesion ensures it pulls the rest of its friends along in the chain. This teamwork creates surface tension, a sort of elastic skin on the water that holds it all together, allowing it to climb from the pot into the thirsty earth. This means your plants take exactly what they need when they need it, preventing the stress of overwatering or underwatering. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if a trapped air bubble will cause clay to explode in the kiln. Well, this is a classic case of being sort of right, but for the wrong reason. The idea that your pot can explode is a definite fact, but the air bubble itself isn't the cause. The real culprit is water, and sometimes moisture gets trapped inside that bubble. Here's the science behind it. As the kiln heats up, any water in the clay needs to turn into steam and escape. When water turns to steam at 212 degrees Fahrenheit or 100 degrees Celsius, it expands to about 1,700 times its original volume. If the water is trapped in a sealed air pocket, the pressure builds up incredibly fast. When that pressure becomes stronger than the clay walls, it bursts out in a violent explosion. That's why potters always poke a small, discreet hole in any hollow part of their creations. This tiny vent will give the steam a safe escape route, preventing a catastrophe. This is also why it's crucial to make sure your clay is completely bone dry before firing. A great tip is to hold a piece against your cheek. If it feels cool to the touch, it still contains water and needs more time to dry. Other people will put a piece of paper under their pottery to see if the paper starts to curl up like it's wet. In my experience, the best strategy is what they call candling, where you ramp it up slowly to about 180 degrees and just hold it there for hours to make sure all of your pottery is completely dry before you bring it up to whatever the final temperature needs to be. Taking the time to properly dry out your clay and vent any hollow spaces is the key to a successful firing. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about clay and ceramics with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.